your face.
Like I said. Like I said. Like I said. Do you like my tail?
Like I said.
Iron Rage. Might not be exciting today. It might actually be horrible. Just warning you guys ahead of time because we are joined by Lee Priest and Dave Pulcinella again. So could be could be pretty bad.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
It just could be anything. Any manner of adjectives.
Well, we got to start the show off on a little bit of sad news. Ed Giuliani, who was a fixture at World Gym, worked for Joe Gold. I know Lee was very tight with him. Passed away. Lee, how old is he?
87?
87, yeah.
Yeah.
87, yeah. It's like him and Joe Gold really took me under their wing when I went there to sort of like adopt a grandfather type thing. So, yeah, It's a sad day.
Yeah. You know, I actually interviewed Ed a number of years back. I think it was when we were only doing like Heavy Muscle Radio as a radio show. And he had some great stories. He was full, and he had to be about 80 then. He was really sharp mentally, and he was very funny and charming. The guy had good charisma. He had a great physique. I was just looking at his physique. Tyler was putting pictures up on the screen, and I was like saying to myself, man, it must be so. I can't even imagine when I get to that age. I hope I make it to that age where I'm looking back at pictures of myself and saying, what the heck happened? It's like in a blink of an eye you age, and it's like it's really incredible.
And like I said, he was in the gym every day. Like every day, like I said, good talker. He loved talking about cars. I'd call him up. He'd talk about cars. He'd always ask how my mum and sister was and stuff like that. He said the funniest time too was when I was there. He's like, oh, what do you got over Joe Gold? Because that's when Joe Gold finally came out to watch me in a bodybuilding show. He's like, Joe Gold's never been to a show since Arnold. He must love you, so he's going to this show. But, yeah, then like I surprised him just 2.5 years ago, just before COVID, when I went into Gold's gym early in the morning and tapped him on the shoulder. He turned around, started crying. So, it's going to be missed.
So he was training at the Golds on Hampton there?
Yeah, because once World shut down, he went over to Gold's and he'd go in there early in the morning. So
right.
I knew I'd have to get up early, so I was staying downtown LA. So I got an Uber at 4:30 and went in there. And
oh, wow.
There he was, and we just sat there chatting again. So, then, when his wife passed away, she was a beautiful person. Actually, everyone at World Gym couldn't believe I got invited to the house because Eddie, he's an outgoing person, but when it comes to personal family life, he's very secretive. Like, going to his house is almost like you have to blindfold you going to the Batcave in the old Adam West shows. You wouldn't be able to find out. But his wife, Mary Lou, she was really nice. And she sadly passed away from cancer. And that hit him hard because I think they'd been together since early days back in New York and stuff. So,
wow. And
then sadly, when Joe Gold passed and Chuck, who used to do a lot he did over 80 Western movies, Gordon Mitchell, who was always down there.
Right.
Call him Chucky. And then Dr. John, and Zabo and all those people, once they all passed, Eddie was sort of like, there's still Lou and Arnold, but of the older crew
right.
that Joe took care of, and that Eddie was like one of the last ones left. So I know he always felt a bit lonely and stuff like that. So, he's with them now.
Yeah. Was he living alone, Lee?
He was, yes, but then his last, he's still living in the same house in Venice. But then when I saw him, Joe Wheatley from Muscle Beach told me just after I left, a few months after that, because he was just finding it a little bit harder to be by himself. He, I think he sold his house and he moved out to Rancho Cucamonga with his daughters. So
that's
he was
good.
out there.
Well, that was good. At least he was with his family. But what do you remember? If you had to give me one memory that would just blare out in your head about Ed, what would that be?
Just his laugh. He had a silly sort of laugh like Artie Zeller had, where he sort of just had this chuckle that you'd always remember. But Eddie was always one of those, if you tell him a story, he says, okay, what'd you do, Lee? I go, I did this. And then? It'd always be like that. And then you'd finish it like, and then?
That's the New Yorker.
The story. He just wanted the story to keep on going. But then when he got in the cars, okay, what car you got in there? What car? Tell me. Start from the beginning. Tell me. Get all excited. Tell me. Okay, Okay. Now what he done to the car? Okay. And then what are you going to put on it? Oh, he'll be like this. Because he loves Corvettes and that. He was always a Corvette type person. But I said to my wife, because I picked up the 1970 Ford Fastback.
Yeah.
The classic rebuilt from ground up.
Yeah.
Everyone always names their car I'm going to name it Eddie.
Ah.
Now, don't get mad, Eddie, because it's a Ford. But I must say, I am honoured, though, because sadly, Eddie was going to try and get down to the beach when I get inducted into the Venice Beach Hall of Fame, but he'll be there in spirit. But he's also got a plaque down there on Muscle Beach. So
he does. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yes. Actually, Al Pacino inducted him into the.
Mhm.
If you follow Muscle Beach Venice on Instagram, Joe Wheatley put up a nice story because Eddie used to go to Pacino's house and train him and that. So
Oh, did he really?
Al,
How did they
so,
get that hookup?
I don't know how that come about, but yeah, he'd always tell me the stories of Al Pacino and how funny he was and stuff. And when he goes up to the house, he'd come out just in some of the crazy stories of him and Al. Yeah, so when Eddie got inducted into the Venice Beach, there's a photo he put up on Instagram. Joe Wheatley put up on the Venice Beach Instagram page of, Pacino came down to Venice Beach and it gave him his induction into the Venice Beach Hall of Fame. So,
Wow. What year was that?
I can't remember. So it's on there. It's only a few years back, probably
So-
5, 6, maybe. But yeah, it's
Can you
on there.
imagine
It's on
Al
there.
Pacino coming? They must have been very close if Al did that for him. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
He's
Tyler,
a big time
Tyler,
actor.
pull up the Muscle Beach Instagram
Yeah,
page.
yeah. Let's see that.
2012, wasn't it, Lee?
Yeah, so that long ago was it? God, jeez.
I think so.
But they were really close. He came down, so I'm going to be in good company with my plaque down there with Eddie and all that, and Arnold and Lou Ferrigno and
Yeah. Well, Lou
Joe Wheeler.
Ferrigno is the guy who actually texted me and told me that he had passed. I think Lou was pretty upset, by the whole thing.
I
so.
put up a couple of pictures on my Instagram. There's some old pictures I put up of Joe Gold, Eddie, and Lou Ferrigno in the office, like a black and white photo. And so Eddie's one of those guys. Like I said, I've never heard a bad word about Eddie. He's always likable. He was there, like I said, every morning at the crack of dawn, and would come down in the afternoons. And I got that great photo. I think you've seen it before of me sitting on Joe Gold's lap and Eddie there, and I'm dressed as Santa Claus and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's great. That's a great.
we had
picture.
many funny times. So.
And what
me,
was his official job? Was he the gym manager?
No, he was similar. Yeah, well, a lot of them were. But, Eddie would just come down and work a different shift, just in there. Well, there was no scanning of cards and stuff, but they pretty much knew who you were. You just signed a thing and come in. There was no electronic thing where you swipe and come in these days. There he is.
There he is.
There's
It is Al.
Pacino.
Yeah. He was still in great shape. Look at him. He's ripped, Eddie.
Well, even when I saw him, like I said, just 2.5 years ago, he was trimmed down, but he's still doing his training and all that sort of stuff. So, he loved training. I don't think he ever missed a day. He was there early in the mornings, then he'd come back and do a bit of work for Joe, but just hang out in the office. But when I was there, all we did was talk, and he'd just follow me around while I was training. And
That's awesome.
very good. He'd be like, watching me do that. Then remember the time him and Arnold were there, and I was doing leg extensions, get ready for, could have been the Olympia, and him and Arnold are standing in front of me, and he's like, "What do you think of this, Arnold?" And Arnold looks at me, he goes, "Why does he do this? Why does he do so many and this and that?" And I lifted up Arnold's shorts, and I just looked at Arnold's shorts and looked over at Eddie. I said, "Yeah, why do I? Because in the end, I'm just going to fucking look like you two." So
The funny thing is, Arnold used to do 1 million sets too all the time, right?
but that's the good thing. We'd always put shit on each other and joke around and stuff. Because even people sometimes forget. Eddie's the one in Pumping Iron that jumps in Arnold's arms in Pumping Iron, and then he's the one laying on the beach where he's like, "I'm going to visit Louis. Anything you want me to tell him?" and all that sort of stuff.
Right. You're right.
So,
You know what the funny thing is? You could tell that Arnold still loved his friends that were from that era.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that he just feels comfortable around those guys, because I think probably he's got tons of movie star friends, but he knows those guys are they're really not friends. They're just acquaintances in the field. But those guys that he was in the gym with, in the trenches with, those guys really, really, he feels comfortable. He could be himself around those people because those are the guys that he had nothing when he was with those guys.
Apparently, Maria hated all those guys.
What happened?
She did. I heard.
Did not want him hanging out with them.
Who didn't?
Yeah, I heard
really? Why not?
Yeah. Eddie
She didn't
would
like that
tell
whole
me
crowd. She hated where he came from, really. She never liked the bodybuilding crowd.
Eddie even told me that when they were together a few times, there was no sort of going over to the house and that when Maria was there, because she just didn't like that whole sort of thing. And in the beginning, they sort of felt abandoned, he told me once, because Arnold was a bit standoffish, trying to, being torn between the wife and his mates and stuff. So, But eventually he came around because, like you said, they've been friends. They've gone through everything together, competing, training. You know, it's almost like your childhood friend all the way growing up with, and then all of a sudden you get that girlfriend. I don't want you hanging out with them anymore. It's like,
It happens all the time.
what do you mean? So,
You know what happens though?
Yeah.
My father had all these guys he grew up with too. Then he got married. You know, he had kids. He was a teacher in Manhattan. And then later in life, after he retired from teaching, and you know, we were grown, my sister and I, he started going to these dinners in Manhattan. They called it the Boys from the Bronx. All the guys who grew up in the Bronx together, who really, you know, kind of talked to each other, but not really. They would meet once a month in one of their houses. One of the guys had an apartment in Manhattan. They would eat like fucking and get trashed, you know, basically. Who knows what else they did there? But for, you know, every month they would do that. It was like they rekindled a friendship that they hadn't really had for 50 years. But now it was like they went full circle back to where they were.
And I think if you can, you should do that, because I think we all get so caught up in our lives these days and busy stuff and social media that we actually forget sometimes. If you do have friends like that still, pick up the phone and call them. Text messages are nice to stay in contact, but if you can, pick up a phone, talk to them, hear their voice, because like I said, I would always call up Eddie. Eddie would never answer the phone. It'd always go to machine. I'd be like, so I'd have to talk really slow. Yeah, Eddie, it's Lee, just calling you, because he'd always screen his calls.
Oh, he's listening to the calls, I guess.
Yeah, so I'd be like, yes, I'm just calling to see how you're doing. I said, hey Lee, how you going?
He's the only person with an answering machine still, probably in all of the world, basically.
Yeah. Well, like I said, World Gym never had a scanner. It was just like the old cardboard cards still, and the old till where they just put the money in. There was there was nothing like fancy like gold's beep and stuff like that. So no, it was still cash. Pretty much cash was how you paid your gym membership going into
funny.
World Gym.
That's funny.
No, he's going to be missed. He was, like I said, he was a character.
Yeah. He will be remembered, obviously, I'm sure all the people who were from that era and who had gone into World Gym and had it. Because I think I went in there a few times and he was talking my ear off. So he was the kind of guy that he didn't even have to know you. And all you had to do was walk through that door and he would talk to you. So.
Yes, I shall dedicate my award to him and my friend AJ, who I both lost.
And your car.
Yes, well, the car, yes, but, you know, the award at Venice Beach can be in his and AJ's honour, because AJ was the one who sort of helped push for me to get the award down there. And like I said, Eddie was going to try and make it, but, you know, when I heard he was sick and stuff like that, I was like, touch and go. But, yeah, the old big cancer again strikes again.
Who pays for all that stuff at Muscle Beach down there, all those awards?
I think I'm not sure if the city council does or the committee, because I know there's a committee down there and stuff. I think whether it's through donations, because I know they've just done it all up and redid the whole muscle pit with all new equipment and stuff. It looks really nice, and because it's all done and been repainted, all the flooring's redone and all the equipment. Now, you're like around the outside where it's got all the concrete that goes around the bottom. Mm-hmm. That's where the bronze plaques.
No, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen it. I didn't know the city paid for it. That's kind of cool that they do that.
I think they do. I think maybe the recreation. They'll probably get sponsors too, because I know. I think World Gym actually is the sponsor of this one that I'm getting inducted into, and the CEO of World Gym, I think, is going to be one of the ones to present me with the award. So that's nice.
I wonder how many World Gyms are left even in existence at this point.
I'm not sure. I know. I'm not sure whether Mike Uritz is still involved. I know my friend Mark Michael, who I used to train with all the time, and he worked there. That's who we've got to get on the show. Remind me to give you his contact. Mark Michael, he used to work at World Gym. I think I mentioned it before. He's the one that you see me photos squatting in World Gym and that. Yeah. Because if you want some good World Gym stories, he was there all day with Eddie and Joe and Arnold and Lou, and I would come in and would train together and would be telling stories. So we'll have to get Mark on, because no one, like I said, if you want all the insides and outs of World Gym, he knows it. I think he actually still could be working for World or something. So yeah, but if we can get him on next week, I'll try and get him on.
All right, that'd be good.